Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for watching another Jags video cast. Before we jump into the top 5 players who fit the Jaguars the best coming out of this year's draft, I do want to plug our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe it, follow all that stuff, and also make sure to follow our Twitter and Instagram. We put out a lot of content for Jags fans that you'll love, so make sure you're in touch with all of that. All right, well, let's jump right into it. All right, at number 5, I have Henry Ruggs III, the wide receiver out of Alabama. And I think that he would be a great fit here in Jacksonville because we need to give Gardner Minshew another option besides DJ Chark. And DJ Chark can pretty much take up half of the field with his ability for defenders to have to account for him and his ability to stretch the ball deep. Henry Ruggs III, incredibly fast wide receiver. He ran a 4.27 at the combine. He has a 42-inch vertical leap. 746 yards with Alabama, 7 touchdowns, and 18.6 yards per reception. He's going to make some team very, very happy just because of how athletic he is. I mean, he can take the most basic play, like a slant route, and take it for a touchdown on any given play. And if we're going to move forward, and if we're actually trying to win next year, Minshew is going to need help from the receivers. And Henry Ruggs III, to me, is the second best receiver in this draft. I mean, he's impossible to cover on shallow crosses. The defense has to identify him pre-snap every single down. He has good hands, even in contact. He cuts on in and out breaking routes really, really well with a lot of speed, good hands, and ultimately I just think a very, very solid athletic receiver. So I hope Henry Ruggs somehow lands in Jacksonville because I think he would be a great fit here for us. The number 4 best fit, I have Derrick Brown, defensive tackle out of Auburn. And I think that people are already kind of high on Derrick Brown for Jacksonville because we have such a big need at the defensive tackle position. With Calais Campbell being traded and Taven Bryan still trying to show that he can be a perennial starter in the NFL, I think Dave Caldwell has shown he likes to solidify the defensive line first and foremost, and Derrick Brown can do that. He's extremely athletic for his size. I mean, someone that's pushing 324, 330 and moves the way that he does is just very, very impressive. He only had 4 sacks last year, but it's hard from the interior of the defensive line. You get double teamed, you get drive blocked, you get down blocked. It's really, really hard to create sacks from that position, but you can definitely create pressures, and that's something that he will do. And if he can create pressures, that just opens up room for Taven Bryan and Josh Allen or any of these other guys to get into the backfield and get sacks. He's very quick at the snap. He can find the ball in the backfield even if he's being blocked. He does a good job of keeping his hands extended at the point of attack, which is very, very important for defensive linemen. He can 2-gap, meaning he can hold up 2 gaps at one time, and that does a lot for your defense and your versatility. And speaking of versatility, the guy can play anywhere on the defensive line. He can play the shade, he can play the 3-tech, the 5-tech, meaning he can line up anywhere and still wreak havoc. So although I am a little hesitant to draft interior defensive linemen early, his ability to play along the defensive line may afford him a little bit of higher pick, and he would fit in Jacksonville very, very nicely. My number 3 best fit in Jacksonville would be Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle out of Louisville. Now, this guy is massive, massive human, 6'7", 369. And him and Andrew Thomas were actually the only linemen in this top projected draft that actually played left tackle and not right tackle. And for the Jaguars, I think we're pretty solidified at right tackle. I think Juwan Taylor's going to be the right tackle for some while to come. And I think a left tackle, there's still some question marks. Some people say Cam Robinson can move inside and play interior in the guard. That could be a possibility. Who knows? But if you get a guy like Mekhi Becton, then you're going to be guaranteed a starter and a good starter at left tackle. To me, he's the number 1 offensive lineman in this draft class. He's elite in pass protection. He gets to the second level and identifies linebackers on who to block on running plays as good as anybody. He can do every single block that's asked of him. A down block, a drive block, a kick out, a scoop, a reach. He can do any block that he wants. And he really can just use his body and technique. So someone that's 6'7", 369 and has really good technique is someone that I really, really want on the team. And he would fit in Jacksonville because Gardner Minshew needs some blindside protection. Minshew can show that he can move around the pocket and create time with his feet, but how much better could Minshew be if he could just sit back in the pocket and read the defense? So if we're getting Minshew help, which is what I think we should do, I think Becton is the 3rd best fit in this Jaguars offense. My number 2 best fit for this Jaguars team in the first round would be Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver from Alabama. Now, Jerry Jeudy was the top-notch receiver in this year's draft class. 77 receptions, 1,163 yards, 10 touchdowns, and a 15.1 per, which is very, very good. The smoothest route runner I've seen come out in a while. I mean, every single route, from fly to hitch to corner, everything, 0 to 9, he can run every single route. He can start and stop literally on a dime. The defenders have to play off because of his speed. He wasn't even the speedy guy on the team. Alabama has so many receivers. I can't imagine what it was like having to defend that group of receivers this year. You can imagine if their quarterback stayed healthy all year, they probably would have been in the national championship game. He can turn a short completion into a big gain. He has elite balance and body control, and that's something that you have to have at the next level if you're going to be an NFL receiver that makes it. And finally, my favorite thing about him is his stick move. The way he can just plant his foot in the ground and go the opposite direction. It puts people literally on their butts when they're trying to cover him, and it's a thing of beauty to watch. He will be a very good wide receiver in the NFL, and I'm all about helping out Gardner Minshew. Throw in Jerry Jeudy into that Jaguars offense, line him up with DJ Chark out there, Tyler Eifert in the slot, and you have some massive, massive weapons that teams have to fear. And we may not be drafting defense, but our offense will be able to score points because I think Minshew can get the ball in the hands of these playmakers, and once they get the ball in their hands, they can score a touchdown. Incredible speed, incredible athleticism, incredible hands. Jerry Jeudy is the real deal and the full package, and that's why he's the number 2 best fit that the Jaguars should draft. And the number 1 player for the best fit in Jacksonville is Jeff Okudah, defensive back out of Ohio State. Now, Jeff Okudah is one of the best players coming out of this year's draft, and in order for the Jaguars to draft him, they're going to have to trade up. But the Jags have the draft capital to do that, and there's been a lot of rumors of teams trying to move up and teams trying to move up for tackles and quarterbacks, which I think puts Jacksonville in a good position to move up and get Jeff Okudah. Jeff Okudah is, like I said, one of the best players in this draft, one of the best defensive backs in the league. Next year, he will already be when he gets there. He's super, super sticky. Never gets beaten covered. He's never more than a yard away from his receiver. He's got amazing feet. I mean, when a DB is lined up in press, it's not just about their hands, but their footwork kind of have to work together, and he has it. He has a clinical drive step. When he's backpedaling and he sees the quarterback going to throw the ball, his ability to stop backpedaling and get to the ball or the receiver is like top notch. What you don't see very often from players. I mean, it's amazing. He's very, very good in run support. He can set the edge. If you think of like Jalen Ramsey, right? He was really good in run support. He can make tackles along the line of scrimmage. He could help you. He could defeat blocks, and these are all things that Jeff Okudah can do. He had 3 interceptions last year, which isn't a lot, but he had 9 pass breakups, and teams just frankly didn't throw on him. I mean, it was pointless. You weren't going to complete the ball, so they wouldn't throw it. He plays the boundary very, very well, which is something you want defensive backs to do in the NFL. He has size. A lot of guys coming out don't have the size to jump with a red zone receiver, which he does, but he also has the speed to cover deep threats. And in the NFL, most teams have one of each or a good player of each one, so his ability to do either one really, really sets him apart. Overall, Jeff Okudah is going to be good fit in any team, in any defense, and the Jags have no corners on this team right now. Trey Herndon, DJ Hayden. I mean, you plug in Jeff Okudah into that defensive back room, and now all of a sudden you go from like the worst to the best just from adding one player. And if you can do that, you got to take that opportunity. So that's it for that. Look, I hope you guys liked the video. We're going to be putting out more as the draft goes on and then we get some players out there. But again, if you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, follow, do all those things. Leave a comment for something you liked, something you didn't like. Let me know. But I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll be back. Go Jags.